Hey guys, Dr. Brown here with Kubo Math, and we're here in Tarlac City, Philippines. And tonight this is Algebra 2 word problem. Whoa, we're going to real world live word problem. Let's assume you're working as a criminology person, and maybe the person you're trying to figure out where they were on a particular highway, or were they on a particular highway, if you know certain details about them, how can you determine these facts? Okay, so what's given, you can see here that the person drove 15 miles on a local road. Now we're making the assumption you know when that person got on that road. Okay, they drove 15 miles on the local highway, on the local road, 90 miles on the highway. So now it's a nice road. So they drove 90 miles on it. They were driving 30 miles per hour faster on the highway than they were the local road. Total trip time was 2 hours. Whoa. Okay, your boss has said, hey, tell me what the speed was on the local road, tell me what the speed was on the highway, and the time they were on each. So they give you that task. Now in our class, we've been factoring, we've been doing complex fractions, we've done all kinds of different things. And now, how do we take those tools and actually do something with it in the real world? And for me, in my career, that's what it was all about. Taking the math and going and doing something with it. Okay? So, you're the criminology person. What do we do? Well, a good place to start is with things we know. Okay, so one thing that we know, if I can not trip over my cord here, that distance equals velocity times time. Now, how do I know that? Well, distance might be in miles, and velocity is in miles per hour. Time might be in hours, so hours cancel, and I end up with miles. So velocity times time gives me units of distance. Okay? All right? So that's something I do know. Now I also, since they're asking about time, I could take and divide velocity on both sides and say distance divided by velocity equals time. Now what does that mean? I've got miles divided by miles per hour. Okay, invert and multiply. So now I have miles times hours per mile. Miles cancel and I end up with hours. So I could, and obviously this could be minutes, this could be seconds, whatever the units are. But distance divided by velocity gives me time. So also, if I have this, I could divide by time and get velocity. So there's many things we could do there. So let's work with this one right here. The total trip time was 2 hours. So let's think about what we have here. Let's let L be anything associated with the local road. H, that's a little confusing because we've got hours. Well, let's go ahead and do that. H, big H, is anything to do with the highway. If I have time, I'll put that in terms of little h, okay? So that'll be the hours here, and then big H will be associated with highway. But you'll see in a moment the big H is going away, okay? All right, let's let the velocity that's the velocity on the local, that's speed on the local. All right, V sub h would be, this would be big H, velocity or speed. Speed on the highway. I'll just put big H, speed on the highway. But what did it tell me? It said I'm driving on the highway 30 miles per hour faster than on the local road. Okay? So that means V sub h equals V sub L plus 30. If this is the local road, 30 miles per hour faster is what V sub h equals. Now let's look at total time. I'll put T sub t. Total time. Well, I'll just make total time in just T. What does that equal? Well, we said time could be then the time that the distance I drove on the local road divided by the velocity on the local. Distance divided by velocity plus the distance on the highway divided by the speed on the highway, which now it was V sub h obviously, but we've determined that's V sub L plus 30, the velocity on the local road plus 30 miles per hour. Now, velocity here is in miles per hour, distance is in miles, velocity is in miles per hour, okay? So I'm not going to write the units down, but just notice what they are. Miles per hour, I should have put little h. Okay, so it ended up same as what we did. So we ended up with hours and hours here, and that's obviously our units of time. Okay, so we know that this was 2 hours. Distance on we drove 15 miles on that road, so this is a little h. And then we had a velocity of V sub L plus distance on the highway was 90, so 90 miles, divided by the velocity on the local plus 30. So that would be the velocity on the highway. So that gives me a unit of time plus a unit of time, and all of that should equal 2 hours. Okay, now I can multiply everything by a common denominator here. Okay, so I would have 2 times V sub L times V sub L plus 30. Okay, and that equals, I'm going to multiply this by V sub L times V sub L plus 30. And you'll notice the V sub L's cancel. So that ends up 15 times V sub L plus 30. And if I multiply this one by V sub L plus 30, then the V sub L plus 30 is canceled, and that's plus 90 V sub L. Okay, what do we got here? We have V sub L, 2 times V sub L squared plus V sub L times 30. So all I did was distribute this V sub L into the problem. And that equals, I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to distribute the 15 as 15 V sub L plus 15 times 30, 450, plus 90 V sub L. Let me go ahead and expand this one. So this would be 2 V sub L squared. And distribute this times the 30 V sub L, which would be 60 V sub L. Now then, so 2 V sub L plus 60 V sub L, and remember, that's velocity on the local road, V sub L. 2 times V sub L squared plus 60 V sub L equals 15 V sub L plus 450 plus 90 V sub L. Whew, let's collect some terms. Okay, let me subtract. Well, first let me get the 90 V sub L, subtract that over here, and that gives me 2 V sub L squared So subtract 90, that gives me minus 30, then minus 15 more gives me minus 45 v sub L minus, see, that took care of that term and that term, minus 450 equals 0. All right, let me put that up here. 2v sub L squared minus 45 v sub L minus 450 equals 0. Your boss is still looking at you wanting an answer. Steve, Dr. Brown, what's the answer? I don't know yet. Okay. Now, to factor this, you'll recall, let's say we had x squared minus 7x plus 10. Let's say we had that. And in the past, we would say, well, let me just draw my little grid here. I would do this. What's the factors of x squared? Well, it's x times x. What's the factors of a positive 10? Well, that could be negative times negative, give me a positive, or positive times positive. But they need to add together those two terms to give me a negative 7x. Now, in reality, we're multiplying the diagonals and then adding up the results of that to get the negative 7x. The reason we in the past have just said, well, this times this has to add together to give me that, it's really the diagonal sum. Okay? It's only because I have a 1 here that we're able to just multiply these. But in this case, I don't have a 1. But in this case, obviously, a negative times negative would be a positive. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. You add those together, I get the negative 7x, x squared minus 7x plus 10. So then I would know my factors, x minus 5 and x minus 2. Equals, multiply together, give me 0, and solve for those factors. Now to solve for this one, this right here. We'll get that much out of the way. Matter of fact, I'll put t equals d sub L, which was 15, over v sub L plus distance on the highway was 90 divided by v sub L plus 30. Okay, so we'll need that later. All right. Now then, there's what I just did was took really and multiplied these two numbers together. So if I, and then factored that. If I took the 2v sub L to the second power times negative 450, that equals minus 900 v sub L squared. Okay. Wow. If I have factors from this number, they need to add together to give me a minus 45 VL. Well, and since this is negative, I know one of them has to be negative and one positive. But in adding them, I need to end up with a negative. So the larger of the two numbers needs to be a negative number. Okay, now that said, I'm just going to factor the 900, knowing that I have two numbers. We'll call it A and B. It's going to be, both of those are going to be a V sub L, and the larger one is going to be negative. Okay? So this one times this one would give me the V sub L squared, a negative some big, well, negative 900 V sub L squared. But add them together, I would get the negative 45 V sub L. That's my goal. So this is our plan. Okay. All right, since this is an even number, we'll say I'll divide it by 2. 900 divided by 2, 450. That's still even, so 450 divided by 2, 225. Now, I don't offhand know the divisor of 225 in terms of 5, but I do with 15. That's 15 squared. So 225 divided by 15 is 15. Now I can work with that. Okay. All right, 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay, 3 divided by 3 is 1. That was my goal, to get all the way down to 1. Now what do I have? Okay, I have a 15. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 4 is 60. I have a 60 times 15 gives me 900. Negative 60 times 15 gives me a negative 900, which is what I wanted. So my two factors are going to be a negative 60 V sub L and a positive 15 V sub L. Added together, give me a negative 45 V sub L. Okay, so that's how that works. So negative 60 V sub L and a positive 15 V sub L. All right. Let's work with this. Okay, so here we go. We have 2, I should have left the equation, it was already written. 2 V sub L squared minus, I have these two terms. Let's see, let's go with plus 15 V sub L. I don't know what V sub S is. Plus 15 V sub L minus 60 V sub L. That gives me my minus 45 minus 450 equals 0. All right. What to do here? Let's factor V sub L out. So V sub L, and I should say the goal here. The goal was to change this into two terms, hoping that I could factor this into something that I could reduce more easily. That was my plan. Okay, so I'm factoring out V sub L. So 2 times V sub L would give me 2 V sub L squared plus 15. Okay, that would give me the 2 V sub L squared plus 15 V sub L. All right, I shouldn't have erased my factors here. Wow, I should have left those. 902, so I wanted to show you something. That's 450. 450 divided by 2 is 225. That left me the 15, 5, which gave me a 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, so now I have a 450 right here. And that's 2 times 5, which is 10, times 3, which is 30. So so it's 2, so obviously the one at the top is not there. It would be, if I'm just factoring that, it would be just 2 times 5 times 3. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 3 is 30. So I could factor a 30 out of this. And that would give me V sub L, 2 V sub L. And it would be this 30 times 15. So plus 15. So let's see if that's right. Negative 30 times 2 VL gives me minus 60 VL. Minus 30 times this positive 15 gives me a negative 450. Okay? That's a nice tool to be able to look at what factors you may be able to reduce to. So all of that equals 0. Now you'll notice I have a 2 VL plus 15 here and here. I'm going to factor one of those out. So 2 V sub L plus 15 times V sub L minus 30. And all of that equals 0. Sorry, I had to cough. All right, so let's solve for each. So this could equal 0 or that could equal 0. So 2v sub L plus 15 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. So that gives me 2v sub L equals negative 15. Divide 2 on both sides. V sub L equals negative 15 over 2. What is V sub L? It's the speed on the local road. Can it be a negative number? No, that has no meaning. Let's look at the other one. V sub L minus 30 equals 0. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. V sub L equals 30. Now that has some meaning. Okay, the speed this person drove on the local road was 30 miles per hour. See, I can put that dude right here. V sub L is 30. Now, 30 plus 30 gives me V sub H. 30 plus 30 is 60. Okay, so now I'm getting there. Also, what else can we say? It asks, okay, let's just go through what they were asking. Let me get all this out of the way. First, since we already have the time equation up here, t equals 15 divided by 30, well that's 1/2. So they were on, the time on the local road was 1/2 hour. Little h. That's what, 30 minutes. Okay. Time on the highway was 90 over 60. That's 1.5 hours. So 1.5 hours. Okay. Hey, now we're getting there. Speed on the local highway. Okay. Distance equals velocity. Velocity times time. If I divide both of those by time, distance over time equals velocity. Okay, so I have distance on the local road. So it's distance on local divided by time on local. So I have distance was 15 miles divided by 1/2 hour. So what does that give me? Well, that gives me, we already know he was driving 30 miles per hour. What am I doing? Okay, speed on the local was 30 miles per hour. We're about to get the same answer again. Flip this up and it ends up being 30 miles per hour. Sorry. Speed on the highway was 60, right? 30 plus 30. So now he's at 60 miles per hour. So now you could go to your boss, because they had told you he entered this local highway at this time. And you could say, well, he drove 30 miles per hour on that road. He was on that road for 30 minutes, and then he hit the highway for 1.5 hours driving 60 miles per hour. So you could put the criminal person that you're tracking, you could locate where they were at any given time on given that data. This is how you would utilize the factoring, getting the lowest common multiples, understanding those things. All right, why are we doing this? So that together we can build a better tomorrow and do that through math. That's all for now, and we'll talk to you next time. Hey, study, 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 okay? Talk to you soon. Thanks.